Welcome to Community In Depth. You're listening to KDWA Radio. I'm your host, Kelly Casey, and today in studio, we have a guest who has been with us one time before, and he has a lot to say about the upcoming elections, and he is Bob Anderson. Welcome again, Bob.
Well, thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate this opportunity. Here at KDWA, you've been really good to me, and I appreciate that.
Well, we like to get information out on a lot of different topics, and today's topic obviously is going to be your candidacy and your goal to reach the U.S. Senate in the seat that was vacated by Al Franken.
Yes, it was a gift, actually, as a Republican, that seat came available because Amy Klobuchar's seat is up for this election, and it wasn't going to be Al Franken's seat, but he stepped down, and that created an opening, so there's 2 Senate seats, and I am in that lane. I'm challenging Karen Housley and Forrest Hyatt for the endorsement, which is going to happen Friday night. And I'm excited to be in this because this is a seat I can take back if I can become the candidate. And it would be huge because we've had 2 obstructionist senators so far, and I support President Donald J. Trump. And I want to go out there to not only represent the great people of Minnesota, where I've been a lifelong resident, but also to help him with his America First agenda, which I really support. So we could change the balance of the country because we could go from 2 no votes to 2 yes votes, and Minnesota would be on the map, and we'll be making history.
All right. Speaking of history, let's talk a little bit about yours. Tell us where you came from and why you're running.
Okay, well, as I mentioned before, too, I came into politics fighting for the mental health parity bill. I got very passionate about that in my life after a life-changing episode and a history of depression. And when I started fighting for the mental health parity bill, I realized that both parties out there really weren't fighting on the behalf of us. They were fighting for the power of the party. And it really bothered me, but I learned so much at that I started my own cable access. It's tough getting media. That's another reason why I appreciate you, Kelly, because I've had trouble in the media, in the print, and even on Esme Murphy won't have me on, and other radio, TV people that have my opponents on, they won't have me on. When you're an outsider, it's tough to crack in. But I appreciate this, and I was raising awareness about the mental health parity bill, and I was able to testify, and I finally had an arena, and I thought, this is what it's all about. I really love having a purpose in my life, and that's when I decided to run for politics before. So a lot of people don't realize I do have political experience. I'm the only candidate running that has run in a federal election before. I was in the 6th district running for Congress in a huge race. At that time, it was one of the most expensive races in the country. So I've been up against some very formidable opponents. So this is nothing new for me. I just have to convince the delegates and earn their respect. If I can get that endorsement, I will be helping every candidate on the ticket, on the Republican ticket, from Attorney General all the way through, and I will bring that same energy I have for my campaign to these guys, and we will finally turn Minnesota red.
I do notice that you have a lot of energy, Bob. And in our conversations that we've had previously, you've also said that you feel that you speak for the common man.
I do. I think the average working class, and I come from the trades, that's what's really special about my candidacy. It's resonating all across the CD districts that we go to and speak. When they hear I'm coming from the private sector, that my dad started this company that I'm involved in, we're a dental laboratory, and we've been in business for 60 years. My dad when he got out of the service, he was over in Pearl Harbor. He started the dental lab. I've been doing it for 42 years. We're owner-operators. We sit at the bench and we produce a product. I know what it takes to produce a product, so I know about all the issues that Congress and the Senate are dealing with because I'm one of them. And I also know about the health care premiums that you and I are having to, and the other issues of regulations and just immigration issues. I deal with it also. So I've got the experience. I've got the energy. I'm into the politics, so it's just a matter of earning the respect from those delegates because I'd really want to get that endorsement, and it'll really help me moving forward.
Let's talk about that endorsement, Bob. Once again, we're speaking with Bob Anderson, a candidate for U.S. Senate, and the endorsement will happen, as you said, on Friday. What is your goal, and what are you willing to do?
Well, we've been hitting the delegates heavy with emails, and I've been calling people, and I just want to, because a lot of them didn't know about me, and I'm late to the game, but we're catching up big. We've put together a great video that just shows the life of somebody from the private sector cracking into the politics and all the areas we've gone. So my speech tomorrow, or Friday night, and my video, hopefully is going to really make an impact, and people are going to say, you know what, let's try something different. We don't even know about this guy. So I think we've got a great chance. We're on the momentum end of it. We're gaining, And I just feel good about it. But I'm not going to stop. I'm not a fool. I know as an outsider, when you're coming into this process, it's very difficult. There's a lot of longtime activists that have put a lot of time and energy into the Republican Party, and I only came in because of Donald J. Trump. So it's been a pushback, but they're respecting the fact that I am fighting for this endorsement. We've got a governor candidate that's coming in that's not even going to bother coming to the convention. He's going to go straight to the primary. So I'm not going to stop. I've got too much at stake here. I want that seat. I can be the best candidate in the general, so I will continue on to the primary. It's too important. I will not stop if I don't get the endorsement, but I hope to heck that I get it because I'm putting everything into it.
You have told us, too, that you've been out on the campaign trail for many months trying to let people know more about you. What kind of reception have you gotten from the general populace?
Oh, it's been great. We've been going to these different CD conventions, and what they like when I get up and speak is that I come from the private sector. I'm an outsider. I'm not a politician. And the fact that I'm in the trades and I advocate for kids that are in high school that really don't know what they want to do, but they don't want to be saddled with a lot of debt coming out of a 4-year college. Here's somebody that actually did it. I'm a high school graduate from Richfield High School, Spartan, 1975, and that's the highest education I have. But I go to continuing education for 42 years to be the best that I can be. I've had a rewarding career in the trades. It's something about making something that you feel good about yourself. It's not always the monetary value of a job. It's also your self-worth. You're getting up, you're producing something, you feel good, you're around good people. So I can be an advocate for the kids in the trades because we do need people in the trades. We need the changing dynamics of our workforce is different. Even in dentistry, it's all digital now. I'm loving it. And I want people out there to know about dental technician. You can have a great career. And then you can also become a United States Senator. Like I tell them, we got plenty of representation in the financial district. We got lawyers, we got prosecutors, we've got financial. I could be the very first dental technician serving in the United States Senate. And what a message that would send that we have some representation from the average working class, because that's who's been forgotten, the average, working class. And the Democrat Party used to be claim fame to that, but their party has made changes also. So I'm out there, and I think I can attract common sense Democrats that grew up the way I did with a different Democrat Party, but have lost sight of what's going on. It's gotten to be more about identity politics and smaller groups of things. So Donald Trump resonated with, he was bringing back jobs, manufacturing, putting people back to work, all walks of life, and that's what I think I can attract in the state of Minnesota.
Bob, what do you think that the Minnesota connection can do for the nation?
Oh, I think it could be huge because, all the states around us have gone red. Minnesota hasn't. And we came so close with Donald J. Trump. And I don't think the Democrat opponents realize how much that landscape changed, especially up north. We're up in the CD7 and CD8, and there's a lot of support for Trump up there. You don't hear about it in the media. You only hear about the negative things, but he's accomplished 64% of his agenda already. And finally, we have a president that campaigned on things he was going to do, and he's actually doing them. And even if people don't agree with him or people don't like him, they do appreciate that he's fighting for the Americans, and I will be fighting for not only Minnesotans, but also for Americans, and we can be a big balance change in the country if we pick up these 2 Senate seats.
Once again, you're listening to KDWA, and we're talking with Bob Anderson, a candidate for U.S. Senate. Friday will be the endorsement, and he has said that he will go on, hopes to get that endorsement, but will go on regardless. Tell us a little bit about your policy, the things that you're campaigning on. Let's talk about health care.
Well, yeah, there's 3 things on my platform that actually really set me apart from the other. And as long as we're talking health care first, I'm not going to go there as a senator and accept any subsidies or any privilege health care premiums that my constituents don't get. Because as a business owner, I've been hammered year after year with skyrocketing high prices for insurance. And let's face it, we all are going to be consumers of health care. And health insurance doesn't do one procedure. But we need it because we got to have coverage or we wouldn't be able to afford it. So I think I would only accept what my constituents can get. I think the rest of them should follow suit, because if you don't have any skin in the game, or if you don't feel that pressure, what's your incentive to do something right for the American people? So that is one thing. I want options, and and this is a federal I'm a federal candidate, but in Minnesota, I would like to see more options, and we don't have enough. And I just think everybody should have at least catastrophic insurance, even the young people, because they don't need all this high price insurance, but we need some affordable catastrophic. They're in the pool. It eliminates all this pre-existing condition things, because then you're already in there, and it could have affordable, and it should be available for everybody. So I want options. I like competition. The other thing that's different about me is I'm going to the Senate to serve the people of Minnesota and Americans. I'm not going there for a career. So I don't want a pension. There's a lot of hardworking Americans and Minnesotans out there that don't even get a pension in there. I don't have a pension in my dental lab industry. I'm putting away for myself. I don't think, as we are serving in the Senate with the money that they're paying us, which is very good. A lot of people don't think that's very good money. To me, that would be huge money. Plus, they give you money for your staff and for all your expenses. I can't believe that is huge for somebody like me that's always had to look and hustle for work every day. I would not want a pension. That money, we have enough deficit and debt in our country. We surely don't need pensions for people serving in Congress. We don't want people to go there for a career. We want them to go and serve and come back into the private sector. Given a pension is an incentive to stay there, and that's what we want to get away from. And the other thing is term limits. Everybody out there is always talking about term limits. I believe we have term limits at the ballot box, but I know how difficult it is to get an entrenched establishment politician out of office. So I think it's up. What I'm going to do is the personal integrity as the candidate himself. I'm going to serve. My intention is one term, 1 6-year term. But if the people of Minnesota say, Bob, we like what you're doing. You said what you were going to be different. You are different. You're helping move America First agenda. Would you serve one more term? I would sign a pledge, 2-term maximum, and that would be it. But what's ironic about this term I'm serving, it's a little bit different because I'm serving out the rest of Al Franken's term, so it's only a 2-year term. That's another thing I tell people. Take a chance on an outsider. It's not like you're sending me to the Supreme Court. 2 years, it gives me the opportunity to convince the great people of Minnesota that Bob Anderson, he was what he said he was, and he's different. We like him. Let's give him the next 6-year term. So it might just be 8 years.
Let's look at this, the next level. Should you be elected, can you be effective then against that machine?
Well, I will give it everything I've got. And what I was hoping when Donald Trump got in that there might be some common sense Democrats that might deflect back over because they want to get something done too. And sometimes you're towing to the base. Even if you think there's a good idea by the other party, you don't dare do it because they're going to primary you or they're going to. No, I'm not going to pander. I'm going to tell the people. They know what I'm saying out front. I want to be a transparent candidate. I'm going to listen to the people. I want to come back to Minnesota and have live town hall meetings. So my constituents, I'm not going to represent just Republicans. I'm there to serve Democrats, independents, Republicans, everybody in Minnesota. I'm a U.S. Senator representing the state of Minnesota. So I need to hear feedback. We all have differences of issues, but if you listen and you learn from people, we make an educated decision. And that's what I'll do. That's what I want to be, somebody for the people, by the people, and I'll have an open door policy where they can get to me.
Bob, we don't have an awful lot of time, but before we go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell us what was the best advice politically that you've gotten from someone who is already in the business.
Oh, I've got some people helping me now that came to me a little bit later after they realized that, hey, this guy's got something what he's doing. And they've really helped me because, like we say, my energy. When I first came on the circuit, and other people are looking at me and I'm just talking and I'm going and I'm like, well, they're like, wow, what is with this guy? And a lot of people actually thought I was crazy. And it really hurt me because of my mental health background, because I've been accused of manic behavior before, and it's very disappointing when you're recovered from an issue, and you're trying to convince people you're okay, you're just not depressed anymore, So I've had to and I would post a lot, I love Facebook, and I'd be interacting with my constituents, and they go, "It's great, Bob, we like that," but sometimes, it's just like, whoa, a little bit too much. So I think I'm learning that, especially as an outsider, until people get to know me. Once they meet me, they think, no, he's all right, but, you come across a little too strong. And sometimes passion is that way too. People think you're angry or you're too fired up, but it's just passion. So I'm learning slowly, I'm learning to listen. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. I have a tendency to talk. You know that, Kelly. But I like it, and I'm learning, and it's helping me. I'm feeling more comfortable, and people are more acceptive of me. So it's just exciting when people come up to you and say, you know what, Bob, you are all right. We took you a little bit in the beginning, but we're starting to realize that's just you.
Well, let's talk about those people that choose to support you. How do they help you, and what can people do if they like what they hear?
Well, we've got support. We've got delegates. I'm driving people to my website. It's bobanderson2018.com or bobandersonforsenate.com. I'll come up, and we've got all of our social media. We've been sending out emails to the delegates, and I've been calling delegates. We would like your support up in Duluth because this is a huge opportunity. If we can secure this endorsement, I will be helping everybody on the ticket. And I've been mentioning this, and they're starting to like that because that's what it's going to take, a unified party. And that's what I want to do because, people help me, I help them, and it all works out better for the state of Minnesota. So if they want to help us up in Duluth, if they want to come on to our campaign as we move forward, we're going to need a lot of volunteers because this thing's going to grow. And I'm not stopping. So I would say come to our website, get involved, meet me up in Duluth. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. I think you're going to love our video that we've put together. It shows what our campaign is really all about and what Bob Anderson stands for and what he's going to do for the people of Minnesota. And I appreciate this because, by giving me this opportunity, it's a disservice to the voters of Minnesota when the media tries to keep people out because we really should be educated about when we go into the voting booth that we know who we really like, not who somebody's telling us who we should like. So the more transparency like this, Kelly, this is very good opportunity for a candidate, and I really do appreciate it. And you've been good to me.
Well, we appreciate your views, and as I said, we try to give the microphone to people who have a variety of things to say on a wide variety of topics. Before we go, though, as you said, you think the advantage is to declare yourself first as a term limit. I mean, you're willing to serve the last 2 years of Franken's term, and then would be willing to be reelected should the voters decide that for one more 6-year term. What would you like to do to accomplish in those 2 years should you be elected? What are your goals for those 2 years?
Well, I really want to help move the America First agenda forward. I want to bring the manufacturing back into America. I want jobs. I do want a secure border. I do agree with the president on that. I hope we can get some immigration reform once we seal the border, but that's so important to do. I want to see health care costs come down. We need more options. We haven't seen it done. The Affordable Care Act, I thought one of the big shortfalls, no public option. We haven't had any other competition. I would love to see some affordable health care premiums for people out there because I know they're struggling. And jobs, jobs, jobs. We all need jobs, and not only for the money, but our self-worth, and it's going to help our families too. And I want to bring the country together. I want them to think that we can have senators out there that are fighting for all Minnesotans, and we're not going to be just obstructionists.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Bob, for coming in to KDWA. You've been listening to Community In-Depth here with candidate for U.S. Senate, Bob Anderson. I'm Kelly Casey. Thanks for listening to KDWA Hometown Radio.